Hey, what's up YouTube? It's ICU, and today I'm incredibly excited to teach you how to jailbreak iOS 9.3.3 on your device. So yeah, that's right, Pangu has finally released a brand new jailbreak utility for the latest firmwares, iOS 9.2 up to 9.3.3. Now, I would really appreciate if you guys would drop a like on this video. I've spent about the past 8 hours or so working on this tutorial, trying to discover absolutely everything I can about it, as well as discovering the solutions to common and more uncommon issues. So again, drop it a like if you appreciate it. Now, down below in the description, there will be a few things you need to utilize. Number one, it will be a link to a post on my site that contains written instructions as well as download links. Number two, a link to my forum. So if you have any questions whatsoever, if you have any sort of complications, you can post them there after registering and you'll get your questions answered by myself or other knowledgeable individuals on the forums. And finally, there will actually be a table of contents that will allow you to skip through certain segments of this video. I definitely recommend watching it in its entirety though, because this is something entirely new. We have never seen a jailbreak like this before. All right, with that said, let's get into support. So this jailbreak supports iOS 9.2, 9.2.1, 9.3, 9.3.1, and of course 9.3.2 and 9.3.3, the latter of which being the latest public firmware as of recording this video. And you better believe that Apple will patch this eventually before iOS 10 drops, so get in now and definitely jailbreak on the latest public firmware while you can. Now, as for supported devices, this does not include support for 32-bit. Unfortunately, we don't know whether Pangu will actually add 32-bit support in the future, but seeing as they didn't for iOS 9.1 and that jailbreak, it seems unlikely at this point, unfortunately. So the devices this jailbreak will function on are as follows: the iPhone 5S, iPhone 6, iPhone 6 Plus, iPhone 6S, iPhone 6S Plus, iPhone SE, the iPod Touch 6th Gen, iPad Mini 2, iPad Mini 3, iPad Mini 4, iPad Air, iPad Air 2, and the iPad Pro, both 9.7 and 12.9 inch models. Now, I will say this, as of recording this video, neither the iPod Touch 6th Gen nor the iPad Pros actually function properly with this jailbreak utility. We do expect Pangu to issue an update shortly though. Also, interestingly, it seems as though Pangu is currently distributing the jailbreak through their partner PP25. Furthermore, the PP and Pangu combination jailbreak utility is exclusively available on Windows and in Chinese. So yeah, that's right. Unfortunately, it is in Chinese right now, but I'm going to teach you everything you need to know to actually jailbreak successfully. And I have Windows running right here inside of a virtual environment. So if you are on a Mac like I am, you need to either get Windows set up inside of a virtual machine or borrow a friend's Windows-based PC. Also, I'm going to say this now, I had so many difficulties with Windows 10, so if you can get on an earlier version of Windows, I highly recommend it. In fact, after installing the PP application, I received this pop-up here on Windows 10. Absolutely nothing I could do would fix it. I tried to set compatibility back to Windows 7, that didn't work. Tried rebooting and installing different versions and then upgrading to the latest one. Absolutely nothing worked. Again, the only thing that remedied it for me was going to Windows 7. So if you can, try this on Windows 7 or Windows 8. Windows 10, for whatever reason, select builds seem to not function properly. Now, considering we're still in the early stages of this jailbreak's release, Pangu is bound to not only release an English adaptation, but also a Mac OS 10 version at some point in the future. Now, when they do that, I will, of course, create updated videos. So click the subscribe button below next to my channel name if you have yet to. That way you won't miss out and you'll be fully notified when I release said videos. The only thing that's really unclear at this point is whether Pangu will release a version of their jailbreak that's independent of PP. And for that reason, I'm creating this video now utilizing that PP Pangu combination jailbreak tool. So of course, click the subscribe button below. As I said, I'll let you know anytime anything changes. All right, so now that we know we need to be on Windows, preferably Windows 7, let's go ahead and take over on Windows, and we're going to continue with this jailbreak. Now, we need to go over some prerequisites on the device itself, only one of which is absolutely detrimental. So let's go ahead and go over that first. So let's launch up the settings application here, and inside of iCloud, as well as the iTunes and App Store portion of the settings app, ensure that you are signed in with the same Apple ID because we may need that during the actual process. It's going to have to sideload an application onto your device, and you may have to enter your Apple ID credentials during the jailbreak process, just letting you guys know in advance so that way you can be fully prepared. Also, if you happen to have any sort of complications during the jailbreak, I recommend both disabling the Find My iDevice portion of the iCloud settings app. So I'm here inside of settings, iCloud, down below at the bottom, Find My iPhone. And of course, that will be dynamic based on your device. So if you have an iPod, it will say Find My iPod, iPad, Find My iPad, whatever it happens to be, disable that if you encounter complications. If you don't, that's fine. You can of course also disable Touch ID and passcode. Now I have it completely turned off. It gives me the option to enable it because it is not on right now. So I already have it disabled. So those are some things that I recommend doing if you encounter complications. Also, something else just to ensure the success of your jailbreak and the stability of it after the fact is to restore to iOS 9.3.3, the latest public firmware. And I also recommend doing that if you're on a lower version of iOS 9, whether that's 9.2, 9.2.1, or even 9.3. Definitely try to upgrade to 9.3.3 if you can, because it is the most stable of the firmwares this jailbreak supports. However, once Apple does patch this jailbreak, as I mentioned before, they probably won't waste much time. You do not want to restore. You want to just stay right where you're at, even if you updated via the over-the-air portion of the settings application, because if you restore and Apple is no longer signing a supported firmware by this jailbreak, you will not be able to jailbreak and you'll be locked out of jailbreaking again for what could be potentially a number of months. So only restore if you can, and the way to do that, of course, is just by connecting your device to your computer via a standard USB cable, launching up iTunes, creating a backup, clicking on the restore button and not the update button inside of iTunes, and then after that you can restore from your backup to retrieve all data back onto your device. Alright, so that's absolutely everything we need to go over in advance. The last thing I wanted to show you guys is just settings general about. Down below at the bottom for the version, you'll notice it reports this iPhone at 6 Plus is running iOS 9.3.3, again the latest firmware as of creating this jailbreak tutorial. So what we need to do now is just ensure that we do have two things, A, iTunes, and B, the PP Helper application. So as I mentioned down below in the description, there will be a link to a post on my website that has both of these things. Remember, we do need the latest version of iTunes, and while we're at it, we're going to go ahead and connect our device to our computer before we actually even install PP and the jailbreak tool onto our computer. So just connect your device to your computer via a standard USB cable, and because I am running a virtual machine, it's asking me which one of these operating systems do I want to connect my device to. Remember, if you are on a Mac and you're running Windows or you're emulating it inside of a VM, or even if you're on Windows 10 and you're emulating an earlier version like Windows 7 to get this to work, then you want to ensure that it is connected to the guest operating system that you're actually going to be using for this jailbreak, in this case Windows 7. So now that it is connected, we're just going to launch up iTunes, and we need to ensure that a connection is recognized between the device as well as the computer. So I'm just going to close out of that little pop-up there, and we're going to wait for a prompt inside of iTunes to appear. All right, so now it's asking me if I want to continue on the computer, and actually on my device, it's asking me whether or not I want to trust this computer. Remember, we just need to authenticate this connection by tapping on trust on our iDevice and clicking on continue inside of iTunes. Once it has established that connection, you will actually see your device over in the upper left-hand corner, and at that point, we can then continue to the jailbreak aspect of this tutorial. So let's go ahead and wait for that. As you can see, it's asking us to click on continue because this is a new freshly restored iPhone. I'm just going to click on that, followed by get started, and now we are good to go. We can go ahead and close out of iTunes in its entirety. All right, so back at it, we're just going to launch up this PP Helper app install file here. We're just going to click yes because we want it to make changes, and you'll receive this little window right here. Now, as I mentioned previously, it is currently in Chinese. The only thing that'll change once the English version is available is just the writing here and there. The interface should remain the same unless Pangu releases their own branded version of this jailbreak. But as you can see, it is installing it. All right, so now that it's done, we're just going to click this button at the bottom here, and it should launch up the PP application. If it doesn't, you'll need to do that by yourself. You should see a shortcut on your desktop after you install it. But if you do close out of it, just note that you won't really be able to open it back up, and it'll appear as though it's not opening because the PP process is still running on your computer. You'd have to go inside of Task Manager and close out of that before you can open it up. And as I mentioned previously, at this point, this is where on Windows 10, the latest build, I actually received a detrimental error. So at that point, it would not let me open PP no matter what. It was just telling me that for whatever reason, it could not create or establish the database file inside of the documents on my computer. Now, it just wouldn't work, as I said before, and the only way that I could remedy it was to actually install Windows 7 inside of a virtual environment and get everything set up on Windows 7. So keep that in mind. You might want to try an earlier version of Windows if you experience that exact same complication. All right, and once PP recognizes your device, remember you need to plug in and authenticate it inside of iTunes first if your connection hasn't been before. You will receive this pop-up right here. Now, if you closed out of it already, don't worry, you can actually just click on this button right here in the middle of these 5. It actually just looks like a P with a peeled back Pangu icon behind it. But we're just going to use this pop-up because it's the easiest. We're just going to click on this little checkbox right here, followed by this green button. After you click the green button, this wheel will spin for quite some time. Don't worry, just let it do its thing. It may take about 10 to 15 or even 20 minutes, depending on your device as well as your computer. What it's doing is it's preparing everything, preparing the jailbreak environment, building the application, and getting everything set up so that you can actually continue. Remember I said this jailbreak was different than anything we've seen before? This is why it creates an application that we use to jailbreak. Now, before I get any further into the explanation, it actually already finished. We have this pop-up right here asking for the Apple ID and passcode. I'm going to talk about that in just a second, but first I wanted to let you guys know what actually happens with this jailbreak. So it is kind of untethered, but also not at the same time. It is untethered in the sense that we don't have to plug into a computer and rerun a certain part of a utility to actually get full functionality back onto our device and to be able to reboot. But it is tethered in the sense that you won't be able to use any of your jailbreak applications until you open up and process the application on your device. It will then reapply the exploit, and then followed by a respring, you will be able to use all of your jailbreak apps. Now, the only reason it's asking us for our Apple ID and passcode right here is just because it's going to sideload this application onto our device. So you need to use that same Apple ID and passcode that I talked about previously inside of the settings application. Now, because it is Pangu, it definitely lends credibility to it. However, just to err on the side of caution, I'd recommend changing your Apple ID passcode after this process. You definitely don't have to, but like I said, if you want to be extremely cautious, that's just the best thing to do. So I'm going to enter my Apple ID and passcode right now. All right, now that it's in, we're just going to click on this green button right here. It's just going to spin around for a second and then actually go back to a similar screen that we had previously. And then it's just going to sideload the app onto the device. This part might take a while, it just depends on your device. I'm going to leave it up though so you guys can see approximately how long it should take. It's installing the app right now that we're going to use to actually jailbreak, and it's absolutely paramount that you do not delete that application. I'm going to say that now. Keep this app on your device, because if you don't, then you won't be able to reuse any of your jailbreak after you reboot. You'll only be able to reuse stock iOS things. So you won't be able to use Cydia or anything that you obtain via Cydia. So let's just go ahead and wait for this app to install. Once it does, you should actually see it probably on your second page, a blank spot on your springboard. It's just the Combo PP Pangu app. Let's just go ahead and wait for that. All right, and as you can see, it is done. It already went to the second page for us automatically. We have that PP app now, and on our computer, it's telling us that it is done. We can go ahead and click on the green button, and then from there, after you click that button, it should automatically launch up the settings application followed by general device management. If it doesn't, you can go into it yourself. Again, just launch up the settings application, go inside of general, and then you want to scroll down until you see device management. Tap inside of it, your Apple ID will appear there as a developer app because remember it did sideload this app onto our devices. So we can go ahead and click on that followed by trust and then tap on continue. All right, so now that we've trusted that side-loaded certificate it created for us, we can go ahead and unplug, and I'm just going to tap on the app to open it right here. And this is absolutely key. Keep in mind the steps and what I say from here on out. Now you need to okay the notifications from this application. So just tap on OK. That's absolutely paramount that you allow those notifications. From here, we just tap on the circle in the middle and we go ahead and lock our device. Now on the lock screen, the jailbreak should actually process. You can see here, we do have a notification. Don't worry, your device may actually be unresponsive at this point or at some point. Just leave it on its lock screen. It's actually installing Cydia right now and going through the jailbreak process. Allow it to do its thing. Your device will automatically restart when it's done. So do not unlock it at this point. Really don't interact with it whatsoever. I'm just going to be pushing the home button every time the display turns off just to show you guys that it's actually still processing. So this will kind of give you an idea for about how long it should take. So let's go ahead and just wait for this part of the jailbreak to continue. All right, so as you can see, it appears as though it's rebooted. It's no longer responsive with the home button. That's fine. Just go ahead and wait for it to come back up now. All right, so let's go ahead and slide over here and we're going to tap OK to that. And as you can see, we already have Cydia on our device. How awesome is that? So even though this jailbreak kind of has some interesting steps to it, we have Cydia now fully functioning on iOS 9.3.3, the latest public firmware as of recording this video, guys. I can't tell you how excited I am. I hope you're just as excited. Again, be sure to give this video a huge thumbs up if you're absolutely pumped to have Cydia now. So let's go ahead and refocus here. We're actually going to go to the changes tab, and as you can see, we have all available packages right here. I'm just going to install OpenSSH just to show you guys that it does in fact work. So we're inside of search. We're just going to tap on OpenSSH. We're going to tap install followed by confirm. It's just going through the regular Cydia install prompt right there. As you can see, it's going to ask us to just return once it's done. This one shouldn't actually require a respring. Of course, because this is different and because this isn't anything that we're used to in the realm of jailbreaking, I definitely recommend proceeding with caution when it comes to installing things from Cydia. And if you have absolutely any issues or you end up inside of a reboot loop or what appears to just be an Apple logo and you can't get past it for whatever reason, I'm going to tell you how to fix it right now. You need to hold down the home and power buttons together until your device turns off. Then just keep holding the power button and start holding the volume up button. Once you see the Apple logo again, release the power button and continue holding volume up. That will essentially reboot it without substrate, which is what's required for Cydia tweaks to work. That way you can then go inside of Cydia, what you've installed, and uninstall any potential conflicting packages. Also, if there are any updates to this jailbreak utility, you will actually be able to install them inside of Cydia, so you won't have to worry about re-jailbreaking, which is incredibly nice. But anytime you power off your device, you're going to have to reuse that PP application. So let me show you exactly what that's going to look like here. We're going to power off this iPhone 6 Plus, and then we're going to reboot it. All right, so here we go. We are back up now, and when we try to launch up Cydia after a reboot, you can see it doesn't work properly. So at that point, you need to launch up the PP app, and you need to do what we did previously just by tapping in that circle and then locking it after a couple of seconds, and it will go through the process of reapplying that exploit. It's important though that after we're already jailbroken and you reboot, when you go to use the PP app again, that you open it and just hang out in the app for about 20 seconds or so before you tap the circle and then lock it. Otherwise it won't work. So I really hope you guys liked this jailbreak tutorial. It took me so long to actually research and compile everything everything together. I hope you guys really enjoy your untethered or semi-untethered, I guess you could call it, jailbreak on iOS 9.2 to 9.3.3. Remember, I recommend doing it on 9.3.3 though. Also, before we conclude, I just wanted to say if you guys are interested in earning free paid apps from Apple's App Store, gift cards, and PayPal Cash legally while supporting developers, just navigate to freeappsfast.com and sign up. Once you do, you just have to download some sponsored apps for points. After you earn points, you can go to the prize tab at the bottom and you can redeem it for awesome things, again, like iTunes gift cards, which work inside of the App Store, and paid apps from Apple's App Store. Now, if you guys want to be notified anytime I release new videos concerning jailbreaking, future tutorials, tweaks, or updates to this jailbreak, just click the subscribe button below next to my channel name, like me on Facebook, and follow me on Twitter. Also, of course, do not forget to check out the forums if you're experiencing any complications. And until next time, this is ICU, signing out. Join the iCrack Your iDevice community on Patreon to help out the channel and to be featured in videos similar to these top contributors. Click the link on your screens now if you're on desktop, or check below.